we're running a little bit late here. We've been counting chads on ballots for the Butler and Allegheny County Election Commission. So
there you go.
Anyhow, well, just to give you guys a heads up, we have 8 folks here at the club. We have Larry Bracco, we have Dan Goss, John Grubbs, Joe Mancuso, Jim Meehan, Jim Roddy, Sharon Scheida Mantle. So that's who's on the end here that you can't see.
Okay.
So everybody doing well today? Everybody having a great day?
Yes.
So there's two really good things that we can be happy about, right? We got wonderful weather for the next 3 or 4 days, and no more political ads on television or radio. So everybody's clapping here. What?
I said I'm tired of Michelle Obama.
I know. I'm tired of taking those personal calls too. From Sharon said she's tired of hearing from Michelle Obama, and I've been. Oh God! I didn't know we didn't know with Sharon that we had such a celebrity in our midst.
Well, Jim, you're forgetting the fact that the 2022 House race started today and the 2024 presidential race started today. So we're off again.
Oh my! Well, we don't even have this one finished yet, Max. So we'll hopefully know soon. Well, again, I appreciate everybody coming for Club Assembly today. I know we're a little bit light on attendance, so we'll just provide some general updates on what's been happening, and then we can certainly open it up. We have Jim Roddy with us today, and I think Jim's going to provide us a little bit of commentary from his perspective on the election. So we'll save him for the end, just to keep everybody interested, through the rest of the other information. So the board met last Wednesday, and just wanted to update on a couple of things related to what we talked about at the board meeting. Member outreach, as you can tell, our ranks are still relatively thin. We've been averaging about 10, 11, 12 for the in-person portions of the meeting. The last couple of weeks, it looks like we've had maybe 6 or 7, as many as 9 folks. So to the extent that you have some friends or buddies that you don't see here, and you could reach out and give them a shout and ask them to come, or at least tune in via Zoom. I think it would be worthwhile. We were making some calls from the board level about that, but it seems like we still have probably less than 20 folks a week participating in the meeting. So just wanted to bring that up. We also evaluated the hybrid meetings. Do we want to keep moving forward with the hybrid meeting process? Because we have been averaging, about 10 or so, 10 or 11, we decided to go ahead and continue to do the hybrid through the end of the year. Today's attendance here is 8. We've got 6 on the call. So this is probably the lowest level of attendance that we've had. I think the first meeting of the month in October, we had probably around 20 people or so. We did make a donation of $250 to the Adams Township Community Park for letting us use the shelter up there during the summer months. So we appreciated that and thought it was important that we let them know that we were happy that they gave that space to us. They didn't really charge us anything for that space at all. I wanted to mention there's a couple of upcoming events that are coming, one on November 12th about accountability and inclusion, and then the Zone Summit, which is typically reserved, I think, for more district representatives. That's our zone that we're in. They're actually having a 2-day summit on November 20th and 21st. So to the extent that you might have interest in participating in either of those, let me know, or go onto the district website. There'll be more information about that. Mike Burkhart, big shout out and thanks to Mike Burkhart for filing our annual 990 tax return. He's been doing that for us for a number of years. So he's got that filed, so we're up to snuff, and again, it's just a big help that Mike does that for us. And then finally, the last item that I just wanted to provide was, again, if we can keep Mary Lord in our prayers. She's about halfway through her chemo process at this point. And I think she's been kind of up and down through that. So if you get a chance and want to send her an email of encouragement or a card, I'm sure she would appreciate that.
Could we as a club send her something? I don't know, even flowers or just something to cheer her up?
Yes, we could do that. I think, Sharon asked if we as a club could send something to cheer her up, encourage her, some flowers or things like that. I think the answer is yes, and I'll take care of that. I'll do something like that.
Also Ed Vogel too, Jim. He's still in Mercy Hospital, I think.
Yes, so Ed's in the hospital. I think he's been in there for a handful of days now, some blood pressure issues. I don't really know a whole lot more than that. I don't know, Gary, do you have any more information on what's happening with Ed?
He had a stroke that actually affected his eyesight. They think it will come back. But yeah, he's having a very difficult time.
Okay. So please keep that in your prayers as well. With that, any questions for me at all? If not, we're going to turn it over to the folks that are at least here with us from the different chairs. Any questions at all or anything? Okay. Chuck, do you want to give us a quick update on the schedule for the next couple of months?
Be happy to. And I would caution Jim Roddy too. If you're going to be making a few comments, don't spoil anything, because I'm going to have you as our speaker sometime in January or February. So save a little bit, save some of the best material for later. Next week, we are going to have what I've heard. Is he commenting already? Anyhow, next week, I've got Wendy Myers with the Cancer Caring Center, and I've heard that this is a very good program. Anyone, so many of us are touched by knowing people or having had it ourselves with cancer. Very good program next week. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to do a virtual Student of the Month. So that's what we have for November. We have December booked as well, and I'm starting to book for January, February, and March. And as usual, if you have any good programs or good people to speak, let me know.
Great. Any questions for Chuck? Thanks, Chuck. Thanks for working on that. Appreciate that. Gary, you want to give us a quick update on the financials?
Sure. As of the end of October, we have $66,721.61 in cash in the bank. Just the major expenditures that we gave out this past month. We actually $5,000 for the Pine Richland Youth Center, which I think Joe Mancuso is probably going to present to Larry in a few minutes here. We also sent $500 up to the Butler Rotary's Turkey Roundup to help them with that program again this year. We support them every year. We sent $500 to the Satellite Club's latest project, the Socks for the Homeless project, to help them. And we sent $500 to Northern Tier Regional Library to help out with some of their, I think, extra expenses they've had as a result of the COVID issues. Just a reminder that we still have $2,831 and some odd cents in accounts receivables due from members. That represents 9 of our regular members who still owe some dues, and a couple owe some, actually for some past due meals even from last fiscal year. And there are 7 Satellite Club members who also owe dues still for this half of the year. So please get those in as expeditiously as you can. So that's all, Jim.
Thanks, Gary. Any questions for Gary at all? All right, Mac, here's your big chance.
My big chance. There hasn't been any change in membership in the past month. I still am trying to encourage people to post their photos, especially if they're officers. And we are recording the hybrid meetings. I have edited them, a couple of them, and posted them to YouTube. I'm not quite sure how you have a channel yet, but at least I will maybe give the links to Gary that he can put in the newsletter the following week. So if anybody missed it, they can go back and get it. And if anybody, it's like the government and Congress or whatever, if there's any remarks you want stricken before the video is posted, let me know.
Any words of wisdom for Dan Goss?
Oh, gosh.
Dan, see there.
He is.
Wow.
I'm glad that your background is not what it was previously.
We can fix it. We have the
That's
technology.
all right. I don't want to see that ugly building from Lehigh in the background.
I'm going to one of these days to put Bucknell up there and see if you recognize the place.
I'll recognize everything except the library.
Oh. Well, you think they'd show it to you since you paid for it, didn't you? Oh, wait.
I'm still
Okay.
paying.
Thanks, Mac.
All right.
Joe Schmidt, any update on foundation?
Jim, just a reminder that, of course, with all the interruptions this year with our regular routines, that we certainly need to keep in mind that our foundation's work still goes on, and we need to contribute and support that foundation. I received in the mail this, I don't know if you could see, the Paul Harris Fellow recognition for a particular member of ours, and I so much would like to recognize that person at a regular meeting, an in-person meeting. So I'm going to contact the member to see if there is a day that they could be at the meeting, so that we could recognize that person at a regular meeting. So also the Rotary Summit that Jim mentioned might be, I'm sure it will be a great opportunity to connect more with the foundation and what's happening there. And I don't know if anyone was able to join in. What was it, last Friday? It was called Uncorked at the it was a regional meeting, and it was called Uncorked, and it was about they had a wine expert there, and it was just a lot of fun. It was probably the most fun Zoom meeting I was ever at, because this expert went through all these different customs and everything that we have with wine and characteristics. Then you could ask questions, and it was pretty much people from there was someone from Scotland. The expert, would believe it or not, was from Jamaica, and it still brings everybody together where we originally were with our meetings, and focused again on our foundation. So I got, Jim.
Jose, how many bottles of wine did you consume during that Uncorked meeting?
You know what? I wasn't sure. I saw it was Uncorked, but I really didn't get it that I should have had wine. So I cheated and had a beer, but I didn't tell anyone, but it was really enjoyable. It was a lot of fun. And then we went into breakouts, at the end of the meeting. It's only lasts for 10, 15 minutes, but it was a lot of fun. I didn't expect it to be that much of a success. And there was a fellow from Scotland there that, I mean, he had more jokes about wine drinking. In fact, Jim, if I could just say, he was talking about they're talking about the taste of wine, and, you know, and he was talking about having an after, and he's talking to this expert, and he's saying, you know, there's a slight cardboard aftertaste that he's getting. And the expert said, "What did you buy? Did you buy box wine? You're not supposed to buy box wine." But maybe they have it on a recording and they'll send it out. But sorry to go
Okay,
on.
Joe. Hey, thanks. We appreciate it. And I didn't take it personally that you said that Zoom meeting was more fun than any of the other Zoom meetings like this one. So,
Okay, I'm glad you didn't. Okay.
okay, Dan Goss, do you have a report for us today?
I do. You want to acknowledge the background? I am. Hey, everyone. First and foremost, Mac, we haven't done happy dollars in a while, so here's $5 for putting up a fine institution behind you located in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, and it's not the federal penitentiary. It's my alma mater, Bucknell, so thank you for that. We are still on for Night at the Races. It's been touch and go. Doubletree has been communicating with me. They still have the space. We're still moving forward. The big question is, can we use Zoom as a possible way of bringing the whole group together and doing something virtually? So Jason Christopher, who runs those productions, Acclaim Productions, he's looking into that. So fingers crossed that we can still do that. One of the dollars just flew away. So we're still in progress there. Oh my gosh, the wonderful place I didn't get a chance to spend time at is in Mac's background. But during my recruiting, we were promised that pool. It didn't materialize until 2003. That's 20 years after I had graduated, but it's a wonderful place. And unfortunately, they have no sports going on there. So it's a big, huge, empty space not being used. Thank you again for that, Mac. That's it for my report, folks.
Thanks, Dan. Joe Mancuso, what do you got to tell us about the community service?
Well, unfortunately, Gary stole all my thunder earlier with his report on donations that went out, but I would like to add just a couple comments to a couple of them. One, the Northern Tier Library that we donated $500 to, it was for a Christmas tree, their annual fundraiser. So we sponsored this Christmas tree where their board of directors and their staff are going to decorate this tree. People can come in then and buy this tree. So if you're interested, please participate in that. Secondly, about 60 years ago, I lived in Ross Township and went to North Hills High School. I had two cousins that lived out in the farmlands. It was called Richland Township. And they had every year, they had this event that they participated in, my two cousins, one of which, the older one, was the best man at my wedding, I might add. They had this affair that they had this boxing match all the time in this little facility just off of Route 910. And I was so envious of them because they had this facility to go to that really was kind of interesting and spectacular. And that facility was the Pine Richland Youth Center. Right. So Rotary is all about service, service above self. And I think that your facility, Larry, does a great job, and they've been doing it for a long, many, many years as well, too. Yes. So it gives me great pleasure to support your facility with a small donation from the club here.
Thank you. Well, very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dan wants to take you on in some boxing. So maybe you could do some virtual boxing or.
But use one of those game things where you had not rock 'em, sock 'em.
Well, that's all we have in terms of updates related to club activities. I'm trying to see if there was anything else on the list. We got some nice thank you notes. We got something from the Keystone Club for our support of the Duck Derby. And so that was nice to actually see something from them as well. Brandon's not on the call, but I know he's put a lot of hard work to get the Students of the Month program up off the ground, and that's going to happen virtually, as Chuck mentioned. So we're excited to get the students back connected. I think their parents are also going to participate on the call. So that's good to make that happen. And that'll be a good meeting in a couple of weeks. So with that, Jim, would you like to come up and give us a few words of insight? This is, he's told us nonpartisan, so just high level observations.
Well, I really want to tell you a story about an election.
So if you look there, you follow up in the corner. There you go.
The election is over, thank God, and we really don't know anything. We've got still have about 500,000 mail-in ballots to be counted and included in all of Pennsylvania. And so those won't be finished probably until Friday or Saturday. We may not know until Monday, the final results of everything. Trump was about 400,000 votes ahead in Pennsylvania, 400 plus. But the mail-in ballots, we don't know what that's going to produce. The mail-ins, we estimate that it's about 2-to-1 Democrats sending in the mail-ins as opposed to Republicans. So it's going to be tight. Either way, it's going to be very, very close and all across the country. Trump's got to win Pennsylvania. He's got to win at least 3 of the other states. I think Wisconsin is still out. Michigan is still out. North Carolina, Georgia. And so we don't know. It's just right now there's Biden has about maybe 30 points, 30 electoral votes ahead of Trump. But Trump's going to need at least 3 of those, Pennsylvania plus 3 others, to have any chance. And if you're a Republican, keep your fingers crossed. If you're a Democrat, do the same. I have Democrat friends and Republican friends alike. I certainly wouldn't want my granddaughter to marry a Democrat, but I can certainly be friends with them. But I'll tell you a quick story about an election. An election in 1988 when George W. Bush was running for the presidency. He was vice president under Reagan. And I got a call from a lady that I had known. I had been volunteering and working in some campaigns. And I got to know a lady named Elsie Hillman. And she was the great grand dame of all of the Republican women in Pennsylvania. She was the National Committee woman. And she called me and she said, Jim, I know you're going to the convention, and would you be able to go a few days early and be on a committee there? And I said, well, yes, what kind of committee? She said, well, how would you like to be on the committee to interview prospective vice presidents, running mates for George Bush for the 1988 campaign? Well, I jumped out of my chair. I said, of course, I would love to do that. So I went down to New Orleans in August. You don't go outside in New Orleans in August. But Elsie was co-chair of this committee that was interviewing prospects for vice president. And the other co-chair was a man named Drew Lewis, who had been he had been the male they always have a male and a female national committee person. And they had served together and were good friends. Drew Lewis became Secretary of Transportation. And he was under Reagan. And at the time of this committee meeting, he was president of the Union Pacific Railroad. And so they decided to bring Drew's private rail car to the New Orleans train station, and we would interview everyone in that crane, in the private car, so the media would not see them coming and going in and out of a hotel room or a meeting room or a boardroom. So it was all very secret. The White House had picked 6 people. They had vetted them, and they were down to a total of 6. And they wanted us to interview and give a recommendation, to recommend 3, the 3 out of the 6 that we thought were best, and rank them 1, 2, and 3. And so we got on the train, we started interviewing, and we interviewed for 2 days. And every night when I go to bed, I think, oh, I'm in the middle of the power of the Republican Party. I am going to be meeting with the president, or who could be the president, George Bush, on Thursday to give our recommendation of who we thought. and I kept saying, I was so excited. I was going to, and I knew George Bush, and I had been with him a couple of times, and I was going to get to make this recommendation, which I thought was just fabulous. And I kept thinking all night, I wish the guys in college could see me now. And so we interviewed and we got down to 3. Our 3 choices were Jack Kemp, Dick Thornburg, and Pete Domenici. Pete Domenici we liked because he was coming from the Southwest and he would be a good balance with George Bush. Dick Thornburg had been 2-time governor of Pennsylvania, U.S. Attorney General, the number 2 person at the United Nations. He had been head of the Kennedy School at Harvard, all of those things. He had great credentials. And Jack Kemp was, of course, a pro football player and quarterback in New England. He was a congressman and was the author of the trickle-down theory of economics, and highly regarded in the House. And so we interviewed them, and we had our recommendations ready. We recommended number 1, Jack Kemp. We thought he would be the perfect person, young, and he was energetic, and he was really good on the budget and finance. As number 2 was Dick Thornburg with his rich background, and number 3 was Domenici. Any of the 3 would have been good running mates. We were to meet George Bush. They moved the meeting up to Wednesday. He flew into New Orleans on a Wednesday. We were going to meet with him. His plane landed at 1 o'clock. We were going to meet with him at 3 o'clock. Well, he flew in and landed, and I put on my best suit, my best red tie, all ready to go down and meet and deliver this recommendation. And George Bush landed, had an impromptu press conference at the airport, and announced that Dan Quayle was going to be his running mate. Well, as you might imagine, my balloon, my great power balloon, was burst, and I was devastated that I wasn't going to get to make that recommendation. And I was further concerned because I had never heard of Dan Quayle. I didn't know who he was at all. That night on the convention floor, most of the delegates had never heard of him or knew of him, unless you were from Indiana. And he was a senator there, first term senator, I think, toward the end of his term. And so we found an old stenograph machine in a room at the convention center where we were holding the convention. We ran off his resume and then had runners going to all the delegations to give them this so that people would know. And I was sitting on the end of our Pennsylvania delegation in the front row, and a television station from, I think it was KDKA, put the camera right in front of my face and said, "What do you think about Dan Quayle as vice president?" And I made the most politically incorrect and dumbest response I have ever made in politics. And I said, I didn't know what to say. I just said, well, he's really nice looking. All the women will vote for him. And so, and so that was my great experience at the top level of the Republican Party. And I never got to be I was on one other committee, but we didn't do much. But that one was the one that I thought was really important. So keep your fingers crossed, and we'll know in a couple of days, hopefully a few days, where we are and whether we have Biden or we have Trump.
Thanks a lot, Jim. We appreciate it as always. I was wondering when that story was going to land, so thank you.
Hey, Jim.
All right, folks.
Hey, Jim, could you ask Jim when he got back, did he ever ask Elsie what happened?
Oh, yes, we did. He was on a flight on Air Force Two, and a political operative that was Dan Quayle's campaign manager, who had been his campaign manager, was on the flight and convinced him on that flight that Dan Quayle would be the perfect running mate.
Did you guys hear that? Okay. See, the best laid plans, sometimes they just don't work out, do they? So, okay, anything else for the good of the club or the order?
We were just saying, we're not gonna have a turkey raffle. Is there something creative that we can come up with to replace that?
The question is, can we come up with something creative for the turkey raffle? It sounds like Sharon's asking to do that, so.
No, I'm just saying, is there something that we can do? Like, it was fun that night that we did the virtual cocktail party and we all dressed up. So, I don't know.
We could all dress up like turkeys. Some of us don't have to dress up, right? We can just show up.
I don't know.
Okay, well, hey, if anybody has any ideas, just shoot me some emails and we'll see. I know that turkey raffle's great.
Jim, we could also have that boxing match between Mac and Dan, that Rock'em Sock'em boxing.
Love to see that.
Yeah, we can all put our money on who we think might win that event. Oh yeah, those big sumo guys. We could get everybody in one of those sumo outfits. Yeah, I would pay heavily for that.
Yes.
Okay, well, anybody give it some thought? And hey, we got Chris Abernathy, I see on the line, so maybe he has some thoughts too. He's probably going through raffle ticket reading withdrawal. Okay, everybody have a great week. Enjoy the weather, and we'll see you next week. Next Wednesday, same time, same bat channel.